Hi, and welcome back. It's time for Mr. HAUSK to finally be unlocked because I'm at 499 pieces of this Shadow Plant Ancient Dragon, and it's time to collect the final piece of HAUSK. And this is also good because the sooner I can get HAUSK, it means that I can start collecting pieces for Molim, which is great, but there's 500 out of 500, and there is HAUSK. So, a few people are asking, like, how did you actually unlock him when you did? Like, it seems quite early. It's basically just some lucky times 50 drops. I didn't get times 100, or obviously not a times 500, but some lucky times 50 drops does mean that HAUSK is now ours. But Molim, you'll see that I've got 310 pieces for Molim now, and since we've unlocked HAUSK, this is the first event where they've actually included a second board ancient, but it does mean that we can now try and unlock a previous ancient dragon. And I'm really lucky that I already have pieces for Molim, because it does mean that there's actually a chance of me getting Molim now. Because if we were at like 0 pieces, it would be so unlikely for us to get Molim. Around about 300 is actually not too bad. And we may have a real shot at actually getting a second board ancient this time. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll get pieces for Molim, and we'll also be getting some decent enchantment mats as well when we obviously open up chests. So for instance, we'll open up this chest and what do we get? We get 2 extraordinary ancient and we're at another extra piece of Molim. I do believe that Molim has the same potential drops as HAUSK, as in you can get the times 500s, times 100s, but there's no guaranteed Molim, or at least there's definitely not any indication that you can get a guaranteed Molim, which opening 220 chests would be impossible free to play or without spending lots of money anyway. But yes, the goal now is to go for Molim as much as possible. If we don't get him, I'm not going to be too hurt. At least we've got HAUSK, which is what we needed for Glom, which is a good thing. Another times 1, but, you know, every time we get more than times 1 from those purple chests, we're going to get closer and closer to getting another ancient, more juicy DCP, and that would mean a happy me. And I also need Warg, so that's also another dragon that I would really, really enjoy and really want. So that is another goal for right now. But in order to actually make room for HAUSK's egg, we're first going to have to hatch the other 2 new dragons that we've got. And the first one I'm going to be hatching is going to be another ancient. So we did unlock Myrkur the other day from the altar. This is Myrkur's egg. And honestly, I kind of do really like Myrkur. Myrkur's just a big sharky looking galaxy boy. So I'm a big fan of Myrkur's design. It is just such a shame that Myrkur's elements aren't really necessary for the dungeon, which does mean that it's kind of sucky, to say the least. Do I actually have any vault space? OMG. I am running out of space rapidly, boys, and it is not fun. It is not pleasant. I should say boys and girls and others, but anyway. Let's move this stinky soft dragon into the vault so that we can actually add Myrkur to our islands. So, yeah, the Void and Shadow, I can see the Void potentially being somewhat useful, but the Shadow is not that useful. Of course, Ancient's useful, but he just doesn't really work on a good dungeon team. Especially if you wanted to fit a dragon like Glom or like Bahajir that only really has like 1 unique element. So, we're not ever going to be able to use Myrkur, but at least we can take a look at him now. So imagine from the deepest, darkest depths of the earth, young and innocent Myrkur desires one thing, to shroud the world in the cozy, comforting, peaceful nothingness of the void. Ah, how nice. Wait, what? I mean, if he is a fan of destruction, I'm okay with that. A big fan of destruction. He does definitely look like the kind of dragon to be all for avoiding things. You know what I mean? Just completely decimating areas and things. But he's quite cute. He's got quite a cute baby form. But I will of course be leveling him up because free DCP. Usually with Ancients I take them to about level 20 to 25-ish. I don't like wasting food because I am trying to very slowly save up the 400 million that I need for another team member. But, oh damn it, I accidentally went 1 over 25. Oh well. But yes, this is Myrkur in the flesh. Again, if he is your only ancient, you shouldn't really have bought Myrkur if it was your only ancient. You could possibly use him, but he is a dragon that you'll probably end up replacing later on. It's just the shadow's quite bad. Void can do some healing or some stealing in the dungeons, but, you know, it sucks. I hope that we get a rebalance for sigils at some point, as much as it would suck to spend all of that time, you know, working up to epic wonder acceptance and then getting a rebalance. At the same time, I'm longing for the days of Plant and Shadow to see a return. Maybe Andy will come back one day and Legendary will get a buff. It won't. I'm just too hopeful, I guess. But the other dragon that we also have here is the Arcana dragon, which was the dragon that we unlocked for hatching the Star Dragon the other day. And Arcana here, he is just an epic, but he's got some big ass horns, and I'm a fan of that. He almost looks like a starry bull, if that makes sense. I don't know, maybe it's in his lore somewhere. But Light, Void, Shadow, again, another dragon that doesn't really have super useful elements. You know, compared to what you could use at least. It's not like Arcana is completely useless for a player that, say, wants Void, but... So his description reads, Arcana dragons are legendary masters of divination. Their enchanted brains seek out answers regarding things as lofty as future and destiny, or as seemingly mundane as what this trainer will do today. Hey, how dare you say what I'm gonna do is mundane? That's very insulting, game, that you would assume something very true. But, oh my goodness, another cute baby. Look at him. He looks like he's so serious with his eyes, but then when he walks around waiting for food, look at him. Look at that. Look at those T-posing arms. Oh. Oh, a cute bird. I almost said, what a cute bird. I'm so used to saying it to my parrots. No, what a cute dragon. What's even the difference between cute birds and cute dragons? Basically nothing. Ah, that's my copium for making that mistake. But yes, Arcana. I am also quite a fan of Arcana's design. I don't think it's my favourite dragon ever, but, you know, we've got the star patterns and such all over the dragon. I don't think the special effects on it are as, you know, in your face as some of the other dragons, and his head's quite big, but, you know, I'll take him. Extra DCP. We do need to get up to Moth, so one day we'll get up to Moth. It took us long enough to get to Pinata, but Moth will be ours eventually. So those are the new dragons that I wanted to get hatching here. We should realistically make sure that we're still doing all the Dragon Board event stuff. And plus I need to make sure I'm doing that familiar dragon event, because I could easily forget. And I don't want to do that, because I would end up upgrading an entire legendary for no reason. And I don't like wasting a few million food on a dragon for no reason. But, you know, we should be fine with the Star Dragon. I am unlocking his plant element right now, and when we get plant unlocked and upgraded a couple of times, it should be a lot easier. But I might throw a chi sigil or something on him. I haven't fully decided yet. Though it's like one of the few times that I would recommend chi is in something like this boss challenge. I mean, heroes challenge, not boss challenge, what? But yes, chi can have somewhat of a use. Actually, I should do arena, and pay attention this time. Don't just attack into evasion, idiots. Again. That was embarrassing. Anyway. Yeah, in terms of Heroes Challenge, some of the lesser used sigils can be used. I have actually used Rebirth at one point, and it did actually win one of the Heroes Challenges for me. But Chi can actually be useful. Just like how, for a time, Chi was somewhat usable in the what's it called, in the dungeon, but obviously Wonder Acceptance usually just wins out. But there are a few different things you can do in Heroes Challenge that you can't do in like normal gameplay just because Wonder Acceptance is so busted. That's part of why I like Heroes Challenge. Again, you get to use a dragon that otherwise you would never even look at again, and plus you can try out some sigil combinations that otherwise you'd basically be hard trolling by using. So it's just slightly more interesting than other parts of the game. It's like now that my dragons are near max level, it takes, like, it's gonna take, like, years to get another team up. Or at least a couple of years to get another good quality set of 3 dragons upgraded. So it's gonna take a very, very long time for me to ever be able to change my team, which is just kind of depressing. I just wish that there was a way for me to use more of my dragons, which is a benefit that newer players actually have, or lower level dragon players, because again, it doesn't cost you as much to get a new dragon up, whereas for me, we're just sort of screwed. And people have suggested before a sort of reset button, which pretty much most decent games that are similar to this have, which is just a button where it's like, okay, any resources that you put into your existing dragons, if you pay a small fee, you can get those resources back. And it just means that in games like this, you're not stuck with a kind of whatever team, which is what mine is. Like, my team gets what it needs done, but it's certainly not an optimal team. And that's why I always say, do not just copy my team. My team is just made up of things that I had available at the time. Like, Ikez was my first ancient, so I had to use it. And Erlang Shen was mainly just because he had Metal and Void, which I usually picked in the events. So in terms of picking elements that might be useful for, you know, unique element usages, that was the main use of Erlang Shen. But certainly not my ideal team, and I would be changing it immediately if we ever got a reset button. But it's like, until then, I'm just stuck with what I currently have. Like, I can't do anything about it. Maybe one day we will see a resurgence or a new team entirely. I don't think it's gonna happen, but maybe. I can only hope. I just don't see how logistically it would be such a bad thing to have a reset button. I get it, like, oh, well, they don't want you to be able to do it for free because then they won't make as much money. I get it. But at least for, like, a small fee, or like 100 gems. Holy, I would do it for 100 gems. Not even kidding, I would. It would be so worth it for a lot of people. For 99 gems to be able to reset, or like, take back the resources, even if you lost like 10% of the resources, I would do it. Genuinely. Maybe not the mats, because everyone's low on mats, but the food, I would take like a 10% negative on food and some gems in exchange to be able to actually like use Enroja. Because Enroja's just busted. Same with most of the other big dragons like Oya, Lisk, Bahajir. They're the best dragons in the game, and I can't touch them because the game's just cucked me. But anyway, I guess I can have another rant for another day. We've got a new ancient, which I'm happy about, but I will continue with Dragonboard stuff when my breeding is ready, which is not going to be for another 3 hours for now. We will continue collecting pieces of Molim. I'll keep doing my dungeon grinding, but for now, it's just going to be a slow slog going into that final week. Let's hope that we get a decent dungeon in the final dungeon week. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and until next time, I hope to see you then.